let's move on to the session, Impact of Research and Innovation on SDGs, SDG15 perspective by Mr. Rajeev, YSR. Mr. Rajeev is the Vice President of ETO Motors. He is an alumnus of IIT Madras with a Bachelor and Master in Automotive Engineering. An engineer by qualification and entrepreneur at heart and a mentor by calling, he has rich and diverse experience in P&L strategy, operations, business development, sales, product and project management in the automotive industry. He has been recognized as 40 under 40 India's young dynamic EV leaders. He conducts corporate workshops, training, and webinars on EVs and growth. More than 25,000 participants have been benefited from the same. He also works closely with Niti Aayog, Rocky Mountain Institute in the Urban Mobility Labs, EV policy making of Delhi government, and also with the Telangana state government. He right now mentors and nurtures startups and incubators such as T-Hub, TAI Hyderabad Chapter, and Osmania Technology Business Incubator, IIT Madras, and IIT Bombay Entrepreneurship Cells. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Rajeev. Over to you for your session, Impact of Research and Innovation on SDGs, SDG15 Perspective.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, perfect. We can hear you.
Thank you very much, Aparna, and thank you very much, Santoshji, and thank you very much the GCIT team. I mean, I would say this is such a fantastic initiative that you have taken, and I feel very much, I would say, privileged to be here this evening and then speak and share my 2 cents about what it is all going to be in terms of the, I would say, the impact of research and innovation on global, I would say, sustainable development goals. To begin with, when the UN declared the 2021 as a year of sustainability, I wouldn't call that as an accidental one, or I wouldn't call that as, I would say, it was done just for the sake of being done, right? Because though there are certain points that I would like to bring to the notice, and those are very, very simple. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of something called 3C, right? 3 degrees centigrade. If at all you have heard, then you can mention in the comment box saying that yes, we have heard. Otherwise, I'm going to anyway unveil it right now. Now, the 3 degrees centigrade means that the average temperature of the Earth, right, has been steadily, I would say, rising, has been steadily increasing. And it is now, if we do not act at this point of time, then we are to be sure that India, I mean, the globe would reach an average of 3 degrees centigrade. Now, you might ask, what's so big deal? We have crossed 1 degree centigrade, we have crossed 2 degrees centigrade, and now it is another number, right? What is big deal about it? But let me tell you, the big deal is that this 3 degrees centigrade that we are talking about, once I would say it gets into motion, it is an irreversible one, right? I mean, it cannot be reversed. And it is at this context. And what does it mean by if it cannot be reversed, right? What are the other, I would say, side effects of it? Okay, let me tell you one by one. Well, I do not want to talk about this, or I do not want to make this as a apocalypse or end times seminar, but then that's what we have come towards, and that's what it is about, right? Now, when we talk about 3 degrees centigrade, why is it dangerous? Because this talks about the irreversible reactions, irreversible action, which means that it is impossible for us to get back to the normal levels. And this means ocean acidification. This means the food chain being disturbed like any other times, which means the sea level rising to certain alarming levels that if the same thing continues, then by the year 2100, close to half the population, or close to half the Earth that is right now, I would say, which is existing, would be submerged or immersed in water. Now, these are the things which kind of make the entire, I would say, concept of 3 degree a bit scary. So I'm also presenting the screen so that you can go through as I talk about, right? So that's what we talk about, right? The 3 degrees. average temperature increased by 3 degrees. And then you look at this, right? The increase in the temperatures has been phenomenal only in the recent few days, not earlier, not before, right? Until 2000s, it was all right, but then from 2020s, the projections is that it would just reach in next another 100 years, and then we are talking about, right, uh, right, and this is a locked in a feature which can never be reversed. And just to also talk about the I would say the effect of it, I want to draw your attention to this particular slide, right? Now, since 1980s and until 2010, right, I did not have the guts and the capacity to get the pictures for 2020 because it would be even more alarming. But let me tell you, right now in 1981 and 2000, if you talk about these, I would say different um I would say the color codes. You see, the gray one is land, and then the other one is open. Then there is an older ice, and also there is a blue color is the ice which is less than 1 to 2 years old, and then the purple color or the pink color is less than 1 year old. Now, if you look at the change that is exactly happening, all the older ice is melting. See, you look from 1981 to 2000 graph to 2009 graph, the green has come down, right? And then the blue also has come down, which means we are talking about a huge meltdown of ice, which causes what we call as the increased sea levels. And then what is the effect of increased sea levels? Okay, now these are the red ones which are mentioned here. They basically talk about the total population, right? So among those red ones, right, number of people per country living on the land expected to be under the sea level by 2100, and India is also part of it, and it is around 10 to 15 million people. And then you see the rest of the things, right? It is close to half the world's population that we have right now would be submerged in water. Now, not only that, let me also talk about this particular thing. Since the record keeping of the temperature has begun, right, in 1895, that was when the NASA started recording the world the Earth's temperature, global temperature. The Earth's surface temperature, the highest temperature was recorded in the year 2016. And do you know when was the highest temperature recorded? In the year 2015. And prior to that, 2014. And then that continued until 2001, right? So what is it that I'm communicating here is that it's time for us to act. It's now or never. And if we do not act, right, then if this doesn't go unchecked, then we will have increased global temperature, changing patterns, ice melts, and increased sea levels, and irreversible, I would say, catastrophic effects. In fact, the interesting point is, just like, I mean, COVID has taught us, right, that things can never be local. For example, when Spanish flu happened in the 1930s, right, there was no much, I would say, air travel between the countries. There was no much communication. There was no much mobility of people, and things could still be contained. Things could still be limited. But we saw the recent COVID crisis, how the whole world had to come down to its knees, right? And that's exactly is what happening with the climate change also. It is no longer a local phenomena. It's not just that the countries, the developing nations continue to produce, I would say, the harmful, I would say, effects, and then those are not going to affect the developed nations. I mean, it is going to be a universal phenomenon. And in fact, let me tell you, if at all, if at all, there is any fiercest battle that the world is battling together right now, I would call it is neither Taliban, it is neither terrorism, but it is the climate change. Climate change, because if you look at right, climate change as an agenda is fought by 196 nations together, right? And world is battling the climate change much fiercer than right what we talk about the terrorism. And then there are, I would say, not just the governments, right? We are talking about governments. We talk about auto manufacturers and OEMs. I mean, since I'm an automobile engineer, I come from that perspective, right? We talk about auto OEMs, and we also talk about different non-profit organizations such as, right, the climate group, the EV100 group. right? And then you name them, there are many such kind of groups that exist, right? So it is one of those rare, deadliest combinations where the government, the think tanks, and the industry stakeholders are fighting with one single aspect together, which is called the climate change, right? Now, that is so I would say important, why we need to have the not just one year of sustainability, but then we need to have years of sustainability. Now at this point of time, let me also tell you some important things, right? Now, these years of sustainabilities, how is it that it is possible for us to, I would say, eradicate, it is possible for us to overcome all of these things, right? It cannot be done, right, without the I would say the right change, and then the right change management and innovation being brought into picture, right? There is this great philosopher, right, Greek philosopher by name Heraclitus, right? He says that there is nothing permanent except change, and it is a time where we cannot allow the change to happen by itself, but we need to act, right, in a proactive measure and ensure that the change comes into picture. Now let me tell you why is it, because right now we have spoken so far, right? We heard about issues such as necessity as mother of invention, but with the things the way they are happening right now, it is no longer necessity, but innovation is the mother of invention. And this innovation plays a very important role, and gives a very strong impact on the sustainable goals that we are all chasing. Now let me talk about different innovations that happen, right, within different industries, and then talk to you about how things can still be possible, right? If you look at the personal mobility, the early man was walking, probably then he started using animal power, and then the cycles were introduced, and then the the cars, which is the first one by Carl Benz, was introduced, a three-wheeler ice engine, ice powered. And now we are talking about Teslas, right? And it just doesn't stop there. Now we are also talking about the flying cars, we are talking about flying taxis, we are talking about personal mobilities, right, that work not on conventional fossil fuels, but on I would say the battery, I would say, and then the battery energy. Now, the research also proves that while we move the dependency of mobility from the conventional fossil fuels to the the battery powered vehicles, yet the net difference is still less than 25 to 30%. That is because the batteries at this point of time are also charged using the conventional, I would say, methods. So that is where now people are talking about using the solar energy and integrating the solar energy with the battery management system, integrating the renewable energies, right, with the charging management system, so that there is a complete circular, I would say, flow of renewable energy, and there is no intervention for the conventional and fossil energies to get in, right? Now, why am I talking about innovation being an important thing is, even let us look at the evolution of communication, right? Probably centuries before, right, during the times of kings and queens and Game of Thrones, probably the communication used to be through pigeons, right? And then slowly we evolved towards I would say the telegrams, and then the telephones, then the walkie talkies, and then the pagers, emails, mobile phones, and now we are talking about the wearable, I would say, communication machines. And then you look at the time frame between all of these things, right? And this is where things get more interesting. You look at the time frames between all of them, the time frame is only reducing between one innovation and the other innovation, which is because there is an active involvement, and there is an active, I would say, component of innovation being worked out. And it is with the same rigor and with the same enthusiasm we will have to work at this point of time, especially to ensure that we not only save ourselves, but we also save our generations to come from the biggest enemy, which is the climate change. I think thank you very much for the brief 15 minutes that have been given to me. I believe I have I would say stuck to my time, and I would really be happy to talk about any other questions that come. But then the message that I'm here to drive here is, we cannot sit back and relax and then think that things would happen by themselves. We need to bring innovation to work to ensure that the climate change is put to check, right? And there is no better year than this, and there is no better summit than this, and there is no better team than this that has come together in ensuring that those things would happen. Thank you very much, Aparna, and thank you very much, Santoshi, and all the rest of the panelists. It was great and brilliant interacting with all of you. Thank you very much. Rajeev from India, signing off.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajeev, for the amazing and informative session. The situation, as you said, is really alarming, and we have to start acting now to avoid the 3 degrees C, as you said. And it's no more local phenomena, and we all need to do our bit. Thank you, Rajeev, for that inspiring session. Now we have Dr.